to the channel, guys, and today we're going to be doing a shark deck profile video. So it's been a little bit since I posted a deck profile. I've actually been super intrigued with this deck, watching different builds and people talking about it, and I finally decided to put it together because I got kind of bored of playing whatever the main locals, meta options are at the moment, and decided I would try to look at a few builds and put something together. So hopefully you guys will enjoy this. One thing to preface before we actually get into the main video, because I know people will probably skip through, the Foolish Burial that I'm playing in this deck is not actually Foolish Burial. It's just a proxy for Foolish Burial goods. I actually thought I had like a playset of Foolish Burial goods, but now I cannot find them anywhere, so I ordered a few, but I don't have them in hand. So for anyone that's going to skip through, which I'm sure is going to happen, just be aware that I'm not playing two Foolish Burial in here, and I certainly don't want to see that comment in the comments section down below. Now, if you guys do enjoy the type of content, please hit the like button and subscribe. It really does help, and I love interacting with you guys and getting feedback, so if you want to drop a comment down below, that would be welcomed too. Before we actually jump into the main deck profile, I want to go ahead and give a shout out to a channel sponsor here, YourPlaymat.com. I will put the link to the channel up here along with my affiliate code that you can use. If you use the affiliate code, you save 10%, and on top of that, it does go directly towards supporting the channel, which is super cool and really, really awesome that we have that opportunity. So you can use the code LS10YP. That is pretty much just the abbreviation for the channel for a 10% off. And you guys can also see the code down in the description. It's applicable for all products in the store, but these sleeves themselves may be going up for sale in the store if you guys like them. These are custom Loveshack sleeves, and I have a couple of other really cool concept ideas that we'll talk about a little bit later, whether or not we can do that. So let's just check the sleeves themselves out. For you guys unfamiliar with YourPlaymat, I had never really heard of them until they reached out to me and asked me about whether or not I'd be interested in a channel sponsorship. And I was sort of, hesitant because I don't really know anything about the quality of the product. So I told them they had to send me something first because I didn't want to put a review out there recommending anything to anyone if I didn't like the quality. So you can choose any image, and there's different sizes. They have stuff for Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon, Dragon Ball, Digimon, whatever. Basically, it's just standard and mini, but ultimately, whatever game you play, you can do custom stuff. They have a ton of custom options on their site that, like, creator stuff that they already have up, but basically the appeal of it is you can design your own sleeves and playmats. This is just an example of, the really good fit with the white border on the outside, and you can actually choose a few different styles as well when you get these. So I basically liked the simplicity of this, and I just wanted to use these for extra deck because I wanted to kind of preserve them a little bit, and also like go into locals and stuff. Like some people will ask about the channel sometimes, and it's cool to have that little bit of, personalized sleeves, I guess. But this is just one example, and I really, really like the way these sleeves feel. They have a nice kind of smooth back, and they do sort of really kind of shuffle with each other pretty well, which I was hoping about. A lot of times I find myself just kind of like hand shuffling, which I know a lot of people do, and you can just kind of see how smooth they seem to move within themselves. Now, I can't speak to the longevity of them yet because I only just got them, so this video is the first time we're actually taking a look at them. Maybe I'll find that they peel or damage quickly, in which case I definitely voice my concerns about that. But based on first impressions, I find this to be a really, really solid offering. It's super cool that you can customize your own sleeves, and I actually have a few designs that I want to use to possibly put some stuff out for you guys, maybe do some giveaways and give away some custom sleeves that are, themed around the channel and whatnot. So that type of stuff is all sort of in the works. I don't know anything yet about how we're going to proceed, but you can get, it's 60 sleeves is the minimum. So you purchase an order, you get 60. They send them in a nice little bag like this, and they're pretty well packaged, pretty durable, and you can kind of also select an option on the site for a premium sleeve option. So I just thought that was pretty cool to note, and basically wanted to go ahead and showcase that in the video. Like I said, the description down below will have my affiliate link as well as the code YourPlaymat.com. Check them out. They have been super cool to work with so far, and I'm really, really happy with the product, and we'll showcase how the actual sort of sleeves kind of slide really well, and they just look good. Like, the best part is that they actually look good and they don't look cheap. You pay a decent price, but you get a good sale with the discount, and I think the quality is worth it. I haven't gotten a playmat. I don't know too much about those just yet, but that's that. So now that we've gotten that out of the way, I want to go ahead and jump into the meat and potatoes of the video. We're going to take a look at the shark deck profile. This is really sort of my first foray with the build. I did play it at locals last week. I finished 2-1. I had a rough matchup against Tri-Brigade that I could not get over, but I do like the deck's potential, and, this may not be the final version, but we're starting off with two Beautiful Princess, and just for the sake of consistency here, basically, This is 3. And the reason I don't play 3 in one of the 1-for-1 is just because this is such a really good card to see early game, and this 2-in-1 package here basically increases your likelihood of being able to not only resolve it, but get the max benefit of it. One of the best parts about this is that it can play through Ash, so not Ash, I'm sorry, it can play through some cards like Valor and Permanent, so you summon it and it can banish itself for cost, and immediately your opponent then can respond, but it's no longer on the field to be imperm, veilored, whatever, which is what makes it really neat in terms of that unique wording and the way it can dodge stuff. And obviously 1-for-1 not only gets this directly from the deck, but it also sets you up for, you know, getting monsters in the graveyard for revival and with other stuff that we'll talk about when we get there. So for the main kind of lineup of the deck here, what you're searching with Be You Tuneful Princess, triple Buzzsaw Shark. This is probably the best fish monster card that's like a regular card that I'm aware of, and I know fish don't have a ton of support, but you target a water monster you control, special summon a fish monster from your deck with the same level and a different name. It cannot activate its effects, and you are locked into Xyz monsters, but that's okay. You pretty much only play Xyz monsters in this, and you can only use this effect once per turn. If this card is used for an Xyz summon, it can be treated as a level 3 or a level 5 monster. So it does open up, especially with copies of the next card here, which is Lantern Shark. The Lantern Shark, Buzzsaw Shark combo, they're obviously designed to work together. Lantern Shark, when it's normal or special summoned, allows you to summon a fish monster from your hand. So you can't go Shark into Lantern and then summon, but you can go Lantern into Buzzsaw and then summon something there, and you can sort of ladder up. So this also can be used as a 3 or a 5 for material, which is a really cool, sort of opens the deck up for a lot of other opportunities. So that's your primary playmakers there in terms of that package. Triple Silent Angler. Now, this card is, the only downside with this card, it's in Italian, so if you're not familiar, it's just if you control a water monster, you can special it from your hand, but you cannot special summon monsters from the hand for the rest of the turn. So in other words, you can't special summon this and then special summon another one. It does directly kind of conflict with a couple cards in the deck, but not enough that it's not worth playing. You can get this back to hand with things like Whitefish Salvage, and it also basically acts as a free extender if your Buzzsaw Shark gets Ash Blossomed, and that's something that does happen quite a bit. So he's just a good fish. I mean, we're working with a small pool of cards here. Xyz Remora, I've always been a huge fan of this card, and it's from Cosmo Blazer, so it's been around for quite a while. You special it from your hand by detaching 2 materials from any number of Xyz monsters you control. When you do, you target 2 level 4 fish monsters in your graveyard and summon them back to the field, but their effects are negated, and of course, they do have to be used for the Xyz summon of a water monster. Again, not really a huge problem in this deck, but not only is this a really good extender, he revives 2 and basically sets you up to go into your Utopic Future play with some of your other cards, because he himself does not have to be used for water, and we'll talk about that in just a minute. As far as the rest of the deck, triple White Stingray. This is a card from Cybernetic Horizon. You can special this card from your hand by discarding 1 water monster, and it's all hard once per turn in terms of being able to summon him that way. If he's summoned from the graveyard, he is treated as a tuner. That has never come up in this deck, but I'm sure that, you know, in certain things where fish revival is more potent, that people may elect to go that route. And triple Effect Valor. I was playing Gamma, but it does sort of have some conflict with certain cards in the deck, and I just think Valor's pretty sufficient. Worst case scenario, you know, it's just a really good out to have to shut things down. For the spell lineup, because I don't play a lot of traps here, a few one-ofs. Dimensional Fissure, this is really a tech that I'm personally liking a lot because I think it synergizes well with the Xyz part of the deck. Any Xyz materials that are detached don't count as monsters being sent to the graveyard. So you can do some interesting combos with this and set it up such that your opponent's monsters that, you know, things like Tri-Brigade, things that want to hit the grave, are not going to be able to do so. Obviously, with Tri-Brigade, Revolt can bring it back, but the point is you are able to put pressure on the opponent with that card in a lot of cases. The one Instant Fusion, I was playing Ready Fusion and Instant Fusion in here, and I honestly found, like, more often than not, I was seeing multiple copies of it, and it didn't end up working as effectively for me as just special summoning, particularly because some of the monsters in the deck lock you out of anything but Xyz. So if you draw into Ready Fusion, you can't necessarily use it as well with the Sharks. I think I'd probably have to restructure the way I was building the deck if I did want to play them. I'm certain that there's some builds that will, and it'll probably be a lot better for it. Monster Reborn, just a really good generic revival. Harpy's Feather Duster, again, you do want to be able to out stuff. And Called by the Grave, those are all one-ofs. And of course, Rank Up Magic, the 7th one. This is such a cheesy card, but basically if you draw it during your draw phase, you can special summon a number C monster from your extra deck and then overlay the Chaos number on top of it, which is just a funny combo. I've actually been able to do more than I had initially expected. 2 Foolish Burial Goods. I mentioned this in the intro. For whatever reason, if you're just skipping through now, Foolish Burial Goods just is Foolish Burial, except you send a spell or trap from the deck to the grave. And typically that's best used with Torpedo Takedown. This is an interesting card because it has a really good grave effect. You banish it from the grave with a Water Xyz and you draw 2 cards. So that's just really good advantage. It does have another effect. If you target a Water Xyz and detach a material from it, you inflict 400 damage to your opponent for each card in their hand, and your monster gains attack points equal to the damage inflicted. I've done that a few times to like shave off some damage, but typically you just want to get this engraved so that you can banish an extra copy of something and get the draw power off of it. Whitefish Salvage. Oh, I didn't realize that because I made a mistake there. So, a few other one-ups here. Salvage and Whitefish Salvage, ironically, no relation. This adds 2 water monsters with 1500 or less attack from the graveyard to the hand, which is pretty much the majority of the deck. I think everything in the deck is a target for it, to be honest. Perhaps with the exception. No, everything in the deck, literally every card except Buzzsaw is a target. And Whitefish Salvage is just once per turn, target a fish in your graveyard, add it to your hand. And if your opponent happens to pop this, you can grab a fish from your deck and either special summon it or search it. So it's neat enough for that. And then Triple Pot of Desires. I have to be honest with you, I have this love-hate thing with this card in the deck because I do play a ton of 3-ofs, which is where it's really useful. But there are a few 1-ofs that are kind of important to see, but then not that important. Like, if Rank Up Magic gets banished, it's not the end of the world. I really don't care that much. And everything else is mostly duplicates. Things like Salvage, Harpy Featherduster, like, those are solid 1-ofs, but you're going to play that at 1 regardless in most cases, and it ends up just being a card that you're happy to see. I do think Desires adds a lot in terms of draw power, especially if you combine it with Torpedo Takedown, and the best case scenario is when you banish your own Desires off of the already existing ones. Prosperity is good too. It's just you do use a lot of the extra deck, so you have to weigh the pros and cons there. 2 Xyz Revive Splash. This is the other trap that you can send with Foolish Burial Goods. Banish it from the grave to rank up a Water Xyz monster you control into a monster that's 1 rank higher. But also you can activate it to target a rank 4 or lower Xyz in your graveyard, special summon it, and make it water. And then, of course, you can banish this card from your graveyard to do that other effect we discussed. So this is really solid, especially as you get later into games because of its rank up combo potential, but also just in terms of being revival. And Triple Infinite Impermanence, just another really good card right now. A lot of the side deck is just hand traps, essentially. It's really how it's structured. Not like that's a shock or anything, because that's most of what modern Yu-Gi-Oh is, but I just think Valor and Imperm are pretty solid in the main, and I would side into a lot of other options if need be. So that's the main deck at 41 cards. For the extra deck, and again, give it, really do like these sleeves quite a bit here. Number F0, Utopic Future, and Utopic Future Draco. This is super easy to summon in this deck, like probably the easiest deck that can make these guys. And this is the only non-waters I play, specifically because some of your monsters do lock you into Water Xyz, while others just lock you into Xyz in general. So obviously you don't want to put yourself in too bricky of a situation. 2 totally awesome. And everyone knows how good this card is, and it's just insanely like valuable in this deck because it does give you extra negations, and it can recycle back some of your resources. Number 71, Rebarian Shark. I actually didn't know this card existed until I was actually looking up builds for this. Basically, this card is 2 level 3 monsters. If it has material, you target a number in the grave, accept itself, special summon it, and attach a material from himself to it. And if it's sent to the grave at all, you can take a rank up magic spell from your deck and place it on top of the deck. So it does have some neat interactions with a few other cards that we'll get to, including the fact that it can stack your deck with your rank up magic. The 7th one, which can be really useful. 2 Bahamut Shark, probably the best starter card in the deck. It's insanely good as usual. 1 Abyss Dweller, and then 2 Silent Honor Arc and 2 of the number C101. Now, I have to be honest, I won a couple games at locals over the weekend against Sky Striker with this, and it was really funny because they didn't have the Widow Anchor, which obviously would have changed things, but I had the Toad anyway. What's really neat about this, of course, is that 101 as a whole has been seriously outclassed from the days of being a super generic, usable extra deck monster and everything. But the multiple ways you can rank this guy up, and the fact that you can use this and this with like Xyz Revive Splash to clear multiple monsters depending on your sort of playing status and where things are, it actually works really well. And this guy, typically you're going to end up going into him off of, well, your rank up magic if you have it, but if you do Revive Splash and then you want to make this, you don't have to worry about bricking. You can make him on top of a different level 4 Xyz monster. It's just that he won't get his self-revival effect. Whether or not that's super crucial to you is up to your discretion. And then we have Valiant Shark Lancer from Eternity Code. This is an insanely good card. It pops monsters, and if you have a water monster on the field, it's actually a quick effect. If a water exceeds you control is destroyed, you can take a spell and stack it on top of your deck. So he can stack your rank up magic, but he can also stack you with any other card you need. And then Full Armor Crystal Zero Lancer just can rank itself up on top of a 5. So in certain scenarios, if your 5s are out of materials, it is useful to have. And Mud Dragon of the Swamp is the one instant fusion target. Funnily enough, while this is on the field, he does make it so that all of your other monsters with the same attributes can't be targeted with card effects. So if you summon him early, go into Bahamut. Bahamut cannot be impermed or veilered or whatever. So there are some cool like interactions with it overall. So that's my first draft for the build. I know for a fact there's going to be better shark builds out there, but I always just like to at least kind of put it out there and track my progress. Let me know what you guys think, how you'd change the build, what you might do differently. I super appreciate you watching as always, and I will see you next time right here at Loveshack.